I am the Esperanza 243. You are here to listen and or watch me read a book aloud. A book that I have written. A book I call Musketeer Power. This is part 1. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're starting on a new book. So this one is called Musketeer Power. And it's just those words. There's no the or a over it. In front of it, I mean. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. So exciting. Okay, so you are probably wondering, what's with the new background? Well, ta-da! This is my Christmas presents. A green screen. Beautiful wonders. Mwah! I'm so excited. I just need to figure out how to use my software. So, I'm so excited that we're on Musketeer Power. I've been wanting to read this to you guys for some time now, and I'm actually doing it. So, I've actually been trying to figure out how to do the readings for this. So, what I'm going to do is, I've actually looked it over, and what I'm going to do is read the first 4 chapters as their own videos. Well, no, read the first 2 chapters as each video. Chapter 3 I will read up to until the last page. Then the last page of that will be included in the 4th chapter video. So, but after that, I'm going to be having those the rest of the book in actual video pages rather than chapter by chapter. I don't really want to do that because some of these chapters are super long. But I'm actually going to read the Musketeer Power description I've written for it, and then I'm probably going to go ahead and continue reading. Not continue. Start reading. Whoa! Alright, so, Musketeer Power. 4 beautiful and talented women dreamed to be musketeers. They knew it could happen. In the country of Rekavla, men and women joined the musketeers, but only the royal family could approve. Each of the 4 women were summoned individually by the Enchantress of their village. She enchanted their choice of weapons. As they traveled to Verol, the capital of Rekavla, they overhear 2 men plotting against the king and queen. Through adventures of peril, music, and romance, they learn more about each other and the power of friendship. They're going to need more than enchanted weapons to help them defeat the 2 men. Wow, I am super psyched. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start reading. Mainly because I actually need to get this recording done before my daily events happen. Chapter 1. Slicing through the long lavender fabric, a young woman of 20 annuals smiled as if hiding a secret. Sophia snipped and sliced more before looping a simple silver chain through a slip. She lifted the new cape, observing it with a smile, and clipped it in front of her neck. Magnifique, she commented, but not as chic as theirs. Sophia Vyse eyed what seemed to be fighting musketeers of Rekavla, her home country of magic. She loved watching the men and women musketeers practice in public. What with their night blue tunics, which had the royal seal of Rekavla, they always showed confidence. Sophia hoped to join them someday. Avert your eyes, Miss Vyse, her friend said. You know they hurt themselves and constantly. But Kyle, that happens because they protect the king and queen. The musketeers don't just go get bloody and hurt for the sport of it. Yeah, but that's for the country. You live in the Vanilli province, which is ruled with democracy. Kyle rolled his eyes. Get your head out of the clouds. I will never give up on my dream. I will be a musketeer. Come on, he said, lightly pulling her. Sophia giggled and followed him to the big tan building. They both knew what it was, the public baths. Why do you want to be over here anyways? I don't have my suit with me. They went inside before he answered. Their steps stopped when they reached a changing room. Remember when that strange man said you'd create the special dress for Mrs. Atkins? Yeah, I remember him. He's here, they heard abruptly. The two whirled about in a frenzy. Miss Vyse, do relax. Why should I? You also said my brother would die. And that happened 2 days after you left. She hissed, walking backwards away from him. Her eyes glared at him in fright. Do be reasonable, Miss Vyse. That's who you are, and how you should act. Go, Soph. I'll stall, Kyle whispered to her. She turned to run as the magician, Marion Espinoza, tossed a dark-colored vial. The vial broke in pieces on the tan tiles below their feet. Gold, sparkling dust flew around, causing Sophia and Kyle to stay solid. They couldn't move a finger or a lip so they could yell at him. I must warn you, Miss Vyse. Not everything is as it seems. Trust no one. Be on your guard at all times. He dipped a finger in a vial he had opened, and then rubbed it against Sophia's lips. Why are you doing this? She sputtered. He closed that vial before putting it away. Because your life is going to change in several ways you won't expect. Marion Espinoza is never wrong. He paused with a smile. Keep your eyes and ears open for 3 clues. Turquoise, marbles, and a handless musical instrument. Only then will you know you're on the right trail. The right trail? To what? She saw him moving to her so that his face was in her view. With a smile, the magician pulled out another vial and threw it to the ground. Green dust floated everywhere, releasing the tension Sophia and Kyle had. When they made certain all their limbs could move, the magician had disappeared. That was weird. Most definitely. She glanced around. Where did he go? I don't care. Let's go. He heard her chuckle. Why do you keep telling me what to do? Someone's got to keep your feet on the ground. Besides, I don't want to be here anymore. Sophia laughed as they hurried out of the public baths. A few minutes later, the two friends stood in front of her workplace, a nice Tudor building. They glanced at each other before laughing. The situation they were in earlier recalled in their minds, and it just seemed so silly. That was surreal, says the woman who believes in magic, Kyle teased. He rolled his eyes. Sophia reluctantly smiled. You're right, she sighed. I do, despite the fact the magician pointed out one of my characteristics. I must be reasonable about this. She crossed her arms. He was really serious about those signs and the warnings. Yeah, but what can you do? Seriously. I don't know. She gazed about to think, but Kyle interrupted her thoughts. Should we tell the Enchantress what happened? Sophia gasped and nodded fervently after remembering a law. They had actually broken one, and it frightened her terribly. We have to do it now. She sees everything. If we wait, she'll report us to the authorities. What? But why? Kyle, wizards and magicians aren't allowed to talk to people without payment. We could get in trouble. She waved her arm around. Come on, we must find her. At that moment, a young lady of 25 annuals exited the Tudor building. She glanced around and spotted Sophia. Miss Verol cleared her throat before calling out. Sophia Vyse, get your talented piece back in here.
Mrs. Adkins has another request.
Sophia groaned while turning to her.
Leila, I can't. I must see the Enchantress.
What? Why? Miss Harrell squeaked, almost with fear.
Kyle and I saw a magician. We have to report it. Very well, but do hurry. Mrs. Adkins is expecting the dress by tomorrow morning.
Kyle and Sophia hastened down the road, turning off and on a lot of streets. Going to the Enchantress's business mansion was a long walk from her work. From anywhere, really. By the time they arrived, almost an hour had passed. The 2 doors of her mansion opened up on their own. She and her friend nervously walked in. They knew the doors only opened if the Enchantress saw them. Sophia glanced around to soak in the fancy details. She couldn't help it. The designer in her kept thinking of many ideas. The fancy chandelier hanging above them, the grand staircase waiting for their footsteps, the marble statues and pillars standing before them, and the royal emblem hanging on curtain rods. Sophia loved everything, as did her friend Kyle.
Don't keep me waiting.
Her booming voice echoed throughout the room, though clearly she couldn't be seen. The 2 friends hastened up the staircase.
No need to slip and fall.
They gasped as tan, sparkly dust lifted them off the ground. Sophia and Kyle flew up the staircase by their rears, down a hall, turn, another hallway. A door slammed open. The tan, sparkly dust carefully set them down. They stared at each other before gulping and turning.
Don't gawk. You've been here before, and it is quite rude.
Sophia sighed nervously and curtsied. Kyle bowed after her.
My apologies, Enchantress Viola. It has been a while. Get on with it, Miss Vice.
Enchantress Viola Winters commanded gently. As far as anyone knew, going to the Enchantress meant something big and important. No one was allowed to get away with any crime without her seeing the city constantly. She always kept an eye on everything. Everything. She didn't like being waited on, nor did she like having to wait.
A magician spoke to us when we went to the baths, Enchantress.
I did not see that. I must have been busy when it occurred. Did you pay? No, Enchantress. He came and went quite quickly.
What did he say? He warned me, Enchantress.
Viola Winters glanced at her while she spoke.
He kept saying mysterious things. I must not trust anyone, that my life will change, and to notice these clues.
Who was this magician? He called himself Marian Espinosa. Him I know, she muttered harshly. Enchantress Viola faced beyond them. She whipped her hand up, her palm facing the 2 friends and close by her ear. They heard a sudden cry. That resolves him eavesdropping on us. She glanced at Sophia, who stared at her in shock.
He was spying on us?
Yes, he was. I know Marian personally. He left you suddenly for a reason, Miss Vyse. Now, I have seen your future as well. You do have a lot of changes coming, and do not need any A piece of paper suddenly flapped like a bird through an open window. It would have landed on the Enchantress's desk if she hadn't grabbed it. She opened the paper and read it. Something in the air feels different. Something has changed the destiny. Find out whom and whose destiny has been altered. You and I know the repercussions. Signed, yours truly. The Enchantress sniffed the air. She did notice a change. Closing her eyes and snapping her fingers, a filled teacup suddenly appeared in front of her. She instinctively grabbed it and took a sip. A sudden vision occurred, allowing her to see Sophia's future once more. including 3 others intertwined. He was right, she thought. She opened her eyes to look at Sophia. Her hand laid before the young lady, opened and welcoming.
Enchantress?
She said confusingly, her brows narrowing.
Your lavender whips, please. Why?
She asked with fright. Oh, dear child, I shall not punish you and your friend. I know you two had a long walk. She raised her brows with a smile. Your lavender whips, Miss Vyse. I know you carry them with you always. Sophia gulped before pulling them out and giving them to her. Teacups appeared after a snap of fingers.
Please, have some tea.
With a wave of her hand, the 2 cups switched places and floated to the 2 friends. Thank you, Enchantress, Kyle said softly. They took small, quiet sips while waiting. She whispered a spell on the lavender satin whips, making them lethal with every light touch. It would be enough to knock a person out. The Enchantress knew what dangers lied ahead. Sophia didn't. When she finished, she faintly smiled at them while the whips glowed purple.
You may have them back, Miss Vyse.
She opened her hand for Sophia to take her whips. After she and Kyle stood from getting them back, they waited patiently for her next words.
Do remember you are not alone, Miss Vyse. Your balanced gifts with these whips shall help on your journey to Verol. You do know why, my dear.
She paused for a brief moment.
You and Kyle may go.
The 2 friends laughed in surprise and stun. They eyed each other when walking down the grand staircase. What do you think all that was for? Kyle asked in confusion.
I don't like cryptic, and I don't like that she took my weapons, even for a second.
Sophia, he warned quietly.
She can kiss my butt. Journey, what journey?
She scoffed.
Doesn't she know I haven't had a single adventure in my entire life? What makes her think I'll have one soon? Do not doubt my magic.
The Enchantress's voice boomed around them. They gasped and hurried out of there. By the time they arrived at her workplace, she realized what her journey must be about.
A musketeer,
she whispered.
What a thrill it would be.
Do you really think she could be right? That you have an adventure? He glanced at her, wondering many things.
If it's to become a musketeer, I'm taking it. I want that adventure.
She turned to him, her eyes locking onto his.
I'd be able to help, to protect the royal family.
You can't do this, Soph. You'll get hurt. I don't want you to. She smiled and put a hand on his cheek. You're my best friend.
Same here. Marion and the Enchantress say things, though, that I know must be true.
She gulped nervously.
I may be responsible, but you know how determined I can be.
They exchanged glances of thoughts. Before Sophia turned to leave, Miss Verol exited the building again. She glared at Sophia, upset that she took so long. Sophia Vyse, get your Jewish piece in here. Mrs. Adkins wants that dress. Sophia sighed as she faced her.
I can't, Layla. I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm leaving for a Verol today.
With her boss stammering and staring at her, she went home with Kyle behind her footsteps. It didn't take long for her to pack up 2 suitcases. When she finished, she observed her friend. She saw how nervous and panicked he was. I wish you didn't have to, Sophia.
I know.
She hugged him tightly.
I want to, though. I've always dreamed to be a musketeer.
They pulled away before he smiled at her, giving her caring eyes. You're all so stubborn. She chuckled, shaking her head.
I'm gonna miss you.
They hugged one last time before she left. Kyle fell on his knees as he watched her. He trembled while goosebumps appeared on his arms. I miss you right now, he whispered, whimpering. Half an hour later, Sophia entered the train station. She observed the grand clock inside. It seemed that time slowed down while she anticipated the adventure waiting for her. After getting a ticket, her heart beat faster and time resumed at its normal pace, as it always did. She didn't like waiting. Sophia wasn't sure what to expect when she arrived in Ando, one of the states in the Vanilli province. She had a long journey ahead of her. Verol was below 2 other provinces. When she heard a beautiful singing voice, Sophia froze. The handleless instrument. Could that be it?
I want this life. You won't change my mind.
Macy vocalized.
Singing,
she whispered. She turned to see a young lady of 24 annuals wearing a yellow jiu-jitsu outfit. Sophia walked up to her.
Excuse me. Yes?
She glanced at Sophia with raised brows.
Are you lost?
The adventurer chuckled.
No, I'm not. I was going to ask about your singing. You're very good.
Thank you, she said with a smile.
I was born with it.
She placed a hand on the sword, resting on her travel bag. And that's the end of chapter 1. Goodness. I can't believe I'm actually doing this for you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so I do believe that is it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to keep reading this book until it's over. Then after that, I'm going to be reading the second book of Aquatica, of the Aquatica trilogy. Oh, that's right. I named it The Adventures of a Mermaid. The trilogy said, I mean. So cool. Anyways, I am going to go ahead and leave it to you all to enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night, where you are in the world. I am the Esperanza243, signing out. He was right, she thought.